I should not be eating. It's my treat day, so you all don't give me any hate. I stopped at Dunkin' Donuts. I got hash browns. Their version of hash browns, that is. These little round things. And I got a sausage, egg, cheese, croissant. These things, with these, you do not, I mean, these keep me pretty full, or at least keep me pretty full for the majority of the day. It's huge. So needless to say, I'm gonna treat you all to up close and personal eating sounds, mouth sounds. So, for those of you who do not like that, you probably will not like this video. And I thought I would kind of make it a story time of sorts, and it's not going to be a real long video because, well, I just got off of work and I want to get it up today, and then I have to go to sleep because I have to be up by at least 3 o'clock. These are okay, but you know, and to drink orange juice, which is a definite no-no for a diabetic. I gotta shake it up first. Sometimes I have problems pulling off the tab because my fingers get greasy after eating some of the sandwich. Let's see. Maybe I can get a napkin. See if I can get a grip. This is so hard. Sometimes I got it. So, this is a much requested story time. I have had questions about my time as a social worker. So, maybe we'll start off by or with how I came to be a social worker, or my ideas and philosophy behind coming to work in with children and family services in particular, because there's so many different fields of social work. I mean, you could work in a school, you could work in a hospital. If you want to go on and get your master's or PhD, you can go into private practice. But I chose to work for the county. Children and Family Services. I graduated from Kent State with a degree in Individual and Family Studies. I got a degree in that because, I don't know, I think I was more or less trying to figure out where I might have messed up as far as my home marriage. I don't know. But I've always been interested in self-help relationships. And that type of thing in children. I can remember as a kid trying to get my parents to adopt. That didn't work. And then I could remember telling my mom and dad that I wanted to have an orphanage so all the children could be as happy as I am. They just looked at me. But I honestly did say that. So, I got my degree. And to be honest, at that time, and I don't know how it is now, but at that time, the county was paying social workers way more than, like, say, a private organization. You got more money, and you also had an opportunity for them to pay for you to go back to school and get your master's, and the benefits were good. And I also thought that it was a great experience, and I still think this. I cannot think of another job where you would be interacting in so many different fields of social services, and working with children. I mean, you go to hospitals, you go to schools, you go to counseling sessions. I mean, you set up so many different things, and you speak to so many different people involving that child. And you develop a case plan specifically for that family, and you come into contact with so many outreach facilities, so to speak. So, I can think of one particular case that, and I have others, but this one in particular, and this case was not my case. In Children and Family Services, you had at that time one coverage day, which meant you did not go out to see anyone on your caseload unless it was an emergency. You were to stay in the office and handle any calls that came in on everybody else's caseload. So, this particular day, a call came in, and I went out to the house. It was on one of my co-workers' cases. It wasn't mine. I went to the house, or shall I say apartment. Walked in. There was like no furniture. It was cold. The window was open, and there was an extension cord from this person's house to another apartment unit so they could get electricity. Obviously, their electric had been cut off. And the children were dressed in shorts. And the mother, I could remember, had on a coat. And it was cold in the apartment. And now he could remember being ticked off that the children weren't dressed appropriately and the place was not fit to live in. So, needless to say, I took custody of the children, and I want to say there were 5, 3 boys and 2 girls. Now, when you take custody of a child, at that time, you could take what was called TEC, which is temporary emergency custody, and you could do it at that point in time if you deemed the child to be in danger or the place was just unlivable. And obviously the place was unlivable. The mother was on crack. This was in the 90s. At that time, crack cocaine was, well, the prevalent, that was the drug of choice. Most of the people on my caseload, crack was involved in some type of way. So I took custody of the 5 children. And when you take custody, you have to get the child called, you have to get the child triaged, which means you either had to take them to, at that time, medicine bomb, if it was open, a center where the doctor would look over the child to make sure that nurse noticed this as well. And she looked at one of the children, went out and got the doctor. The doctor came back in and they informed me that the children had scabies. And I'm like, what the hell is scabies? You know? They told me it was a skin parasite, almost like crabs, but it's on your skin. And I'm like, oh God, I instantly got a headache. And they got medicine for it. And they applied the lotion, the first application, and then they told me, you know, how you have to minister it and all that kind of stuff, and that had to go on the universal form. Long story short, I took them back to Children and Family Services. We found a placement for them. You have to go up to, wait a minute. I have them downstairs, okay? And there was a room with the children, and there was a child care provider, kind of like babysitter until you find them a placement. I had them there. They got new clothes. I had to go up to our lawyers, and you have to prepare a, if it's early enough, you have to prepare a court summary. So, you're kind of like sitting there, well, you're not kind of, you are sitting with one of the attorneys for Children and Family Services, and you're telling them about the caseload, and you're coming up with complaints and you know, like okay, it could be like the house is unlivable and dangerous. area at night. So anyway, these children were so grateful to have clean clothes, and they were asking me if they were going to get to take a bath, where they go. Are they going to have regular dinner? Are they going to get a chance to wash their clothes? Just normal things that, say, you and I probably take for granted. I can distinctly remember having the three boys in my car, and I had the heat on. Remember, I said it when I had the heat on. They fell asleep, and when I got to the foster home, I was like, okay guys, we're here. Literally, they were knocked out, almost comatose, because the heat felt so good to them. And literally, it was three boys. I had to take them out one by one because they would not wake up. I was almost getting worried. So, I took them in to meet their foster care mom, and I sat down and talked to her. Went over the universal care form, and of course, before I took the children there, I had called her doing called facilitating once a week, and I did that, for, I don't know, maybe for like a half a year, because it got to be a little bit much. It was like I was working for Children and Family Services by day, and then in the evening, listening to battered women. And I can talk to you all about that too, because that was something else. This ring, it's actually 3 rings. I bought the 2 outer rings specifically for stacking. I love it. Now I want to say this ring I got from TJ Maxx, and I've had it for about 15 years. I want to say 15 years. One more. And I have quite a few of these rings. And I want to say I got these at a kiosk in Beechwood Place Mall. I'm always looking for jewelry wherever I go. Like if I go travel somewhere, I want to purchase a piece of sterling silver jewelry from there. I am going to end this once I finish chewing my croissant sandwich. Tell me if you would like to hear more stories about my social work. Would you like to hear more stories about the battered women's shelter? Would you like to hear stories about my rise to management at Walgreens? And I also got a request. Someone said that they wanted to see, they wanted to learn about the Winnie that was 20 something years old. And they saw a picture that I had on Instagram. I could pick pictures out and talk about the picture, and that would be a good story time. So just throwing out ideas. Let me know what you all would like to see. Okay. Okay, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. And I'll see you in the next video. And comment below. Do you like me